Water is polar. What that means is that there's an uneven distribution of electrons. If we look at water, the oxygen pulls the electrons from hydrogen kind of into itself a little bit, taking that electron that hydrogen has and pulling it very close to it. So the hydrogen is essentially losing that electron. When you lose electrons, you're losing negativity, so you're going to become more positive. If you're gaining an electron, you're gaining negativity, you're going to be more negative. If we were to draw in the charges on our water molecule, remember that this is oxygen and these two are hydrogen. Our hydrogens are going to be more positive because those electrons are going more towards the oxygen side, and the oxygen is going to be more negative. The more electrons you have, the more negative you are. The less electrons you have, the less negative you are. Water molecules like to form hydrogen bonds. One water molecule can form 4 hydrogen bonds with other water molecules. Hydrogen bonds are weaker than covalent, and they form between the hydrogen of one molecule and the oxygen of another. These hydrogen bonds give water some pretty cool properties. First is cohesion. Cohesion is an attraction between the same molecule. Looking at this droplet of water, it forms a nice droplet. It doesn't spread out. The cohesion, or the stickiness of the water, is keeping the water close together and within that droplet. And it also creates surface tension. Surface tension is the resistance of the surface of the liquid to forces. If we are heavy enough to break that surface tension, but the water bugs are light enough where they can kind of float on top of the water and walk on top of the water because they're not breaking that surface tension. Adhesion is an attraction between different molecules. So it would be the attraction between water and something else. The reason why the water droplets are sticking to the spider web is because of adhesion. The water is sticking to the spider silk. This is also when you are pouring water into kind of a test tube or a tube, the water climbs up the side of the glass. The water's sticking to that glass, creating the meniscus. Adhesion and cohesion also create a capillary action. What capillary action is? Water traveling up a tube. If you've ever taken a piece of paper towel and just kind of stuck the corner into a kind of puddle of water, the water is going to start climbing up that paper towel. And over time, if you have enough paper towel, enough time, the water that's on the table will actually climb up the paper towel. The same is true in a tube. If you have a plant, plants get all of their water from the soil. There is a tube running from the soil up to the top of the plant. The water will climb up that tube using cohesion and adhesion. So it will stick to itself and it will stick to the side of the tube, nourishing the plant from bottom to top. A mixture is physically mixing 2 or more compounds. They are mixing physically but not chemically. So it has the potential of taking it apart again. One of the types of mixtures is a little bit easier than the other to take apart. We have solutions. Solutions is when everything is evenly distributed and you can't pick out the parts and pieces. An example of a solution would be Kool-Aid in water. The Kool-Aid powder dissolves in the water and becomes evenly distributed, and you can't go in and pick out the individual pieces of Kool-Aid. There are 2 parts to its solution. We have the thing doing the dissolving, which is a solvent. And then you have this solute. This is the thing being dissolved. In the case of the Kool-Aid, the solvent, thing doing the dissolving, is water. The solute is a thing being dissolved, which would be the Kool-Aid powder. The other type of mixture we have are suspensions. Suspensions, you can actually see the different parts and pieces. So this is unevenly distributed. One example would be salad dressing. The oil and the water don't mix, and all the little pieces of pepper and onion and parsley also don't mix, and you can pick those parts and pieces out easily. Another a biological example of a suspension would be blood. Blood, if you look at it underneath the microscope, is made out of different cell types, and you can see the individual cells within that plasma, and you can pick out the red blood cells and you can pick out the white blood cells that are in the suspension of the plasma. And just a note, water is the world's greatest solvent. It is the closest thing we have to a universal solvent. It can't be a universal solvent because if it was, everything would be water. Water would be dissolving everything there was on the planet. It'd be basically a water planet because everything would be dissolved. But water is the closest thing we have to dissolving quite a few different compounds.